Good morning, maybe. Well, maybe it's morning where you are right now. Maybe it's not. You can see it's probably morning here, given the bedhead and the coffee that I will be drinking. After having some issues with my audio seeming to get off in the streams, I've tried I'm trying OBS Studio instead of traditional OBS. Really quick, gonna go check out my stream and just make sure my audio is lining up quick. So let's see here. I'm just looking and seeing if my voice kind of matches up. You know, if you are watching and you like notice my voice being off a little bit, you just let me know. So, all right, cool. Well, today what I'm going to be doing is I've had this idea for a while. I want to build a service, like an API service, where I can host this out there. And if you have a game, you can go register your game, get an API key, and then it will keep a list of high scores, and then you can assign names with it or whatever. Just kind of generically doing that. I think that would be kind of a cool project. It would have some experience building like web API stuff, more API stuff, and I'm going to probably use Node and Express and all those things to build this out. And then I can kind of work on some of the front end bits and trying to build maybe like the front end out with Aurelia or Vue or something like that. Something I haven't tried before. So it'll be definitely a learning experience on my side for some of it. Some of it I'm already familiar with. I haven't done a lot of API design. I've done web API, like actual just API calls for single page like applications and stuff like that. Not too big a deal, but to design an API is a little bit different, I think. Maybe it doesn't have to be. I don't know. We'll see. But as always, I mean, this is with Livestream, you're seeing the whole thing, right? All the struggles, everything you go through, versus a blog post where you'd only see the very end. So that's what I'm doing today, and I might as well get started with this. So, all right, first thing I'm going to do is go out and create a GitHub repository for this, because not everything, but a lot of stuff in the world should probably be, open, right? Especially stuff where you're not trying to like make $1. Well, if you were trying to make $1, anyways, I won't get into that. But let me switch over to my actual. There we go. So you should see my got my GitHub account here going. Just all the crap I've built. I keep adding in new things. Some of this stuff I should probably just go and clean up, like the C steel. I never really got anywhere on that, and Thaylog, I kind of have some code in there, but it's like, I don't know. I was like, I'm going to try to build like a little programming language, but I kind of, I don't know. I got a really big, and I didn't go small with it to start, but the rest of this stuff kind of has to stay up here. Maybe this Grove and Stomp RT, which is kind of old now, cold, probably could go. Derp, I never really did anything with it other than somebody submitted a pull request to do it. Anyways, okay, well, let's go ahead and create a new repository. And the high scores, now this is the hardest part about any project, right, is what the heck do you want to name this thing? Because you could be like generically high score service, or you could try to come up with some witty name. What I tend to do with projects when I just don't have a name now is I have a scheme where I just call it after something that's not related, but it makes it easy to name. So what I do is, oops, I spelled Disney wrong, but is I'm a big fan of the TV show Gargoyles. It was a Disney cartoon back when I was a kid, and probably my favorite cartoon of all time, just because it was very, very much, I don't know, it had a different feel to it than other stuff. It wasn't just cheap laughs and things like that. There was all this kind of like history and mythology kind of built into it, and tiebacks. Like they had King Arthur, and they had Macbeth, and like Lady Macbeth, and all these like just ancillary characters and things, and just it felt very epic, especially in the second season. The first season, it kind of got its start, and then the second season just, man, it took off. That was a cool show. But anyways, so you could see, well, if I went back to my other page, I have one called like Cold Steel and Cold Stone, and I think I've made one called Lexington Somewheres. I might not have checked that in, but basically I just kind of go in here, and Thalog was a gargoyle as well. So that's what I kind of use for my naming scheme. I think I've named something Goliath. No, Goliath is my machine name, actually, my computer name right now. So, so what I want to do is pick like a thing in here. I think I've called something Othello already, just local repository. Demona could work. Let's see. Talon, Thug, Tasha Banner. The Clones. I can't remember that episode. Oh yeah, no, never mind. Malibu, Brent. Oh yeah, they named him after California cities versus, yeah. And Thalog, which is just Goliath backwards, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. Could call it Eliza. Fox, Jeffrey. Maybe I should go after the villain's name, which is Xanatos. Right, that was kind of a cool name. It starts with an X. Xanatos, David Xanatos. I think I'm going to go with that, so we'll call this Xanatos. Why not? So that makes it kind of easy, like I said, to name stuff. If you just come up with a scheme and say, hey, I can just use this as my working name, the not working name, but the code name, whatever you want to call it for now, and you can just go out and change it later, always. So service, web service to collect and display high scores for video games. Cool. And then we will probably add Node in here and MIT license, because MIT is great. It's no buts about it. It's an open permissive license. I think every time someone, open sources with MIT license, God's up there and saves a kitty or something like that. So I just, there's some good in the world that happens every time you pick MIT license. It's just clearly, because again, you don't have to guess. I think if you use, let me see, it's called like AGPL, a Pharaoh GPL. That's like the worst. I hate that one. Don't use that one. Anyways, yeah, let's put a README in there. Why not? Okay, so we'll create Xanatos here. And we'll go ahead and download this. They've changed this up a little bit, or clone it rather. All right. Oh, do I have git on the regular command? Probably not. Git clone Xanatos. Okay. So you see, you do that, git clone, and you get, you know, oh, what did I do? Anyways, you get that stuff in there. I need to then open a command window there, and I'm going to make sure I'm in it. Let me go ahead and get this a little bit bigger here for you. Make sure that we're seeing stuff. Just figure font probably 36, that works. Okay, so we've got Xanatos out there. We probably want to use Express Generator, assuming it works. So I'm just going to Express Xanatos. And yeah, that works. Should, hopefully. Okay, cool. And you see we get the Xanatos folder in there and all of our application inside of it, which is what we want. I'm going to actually rename this to source just because I like that as a layout instead of having the app name. So everything within there is my source. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and open that in Visual Studio Code, which is my favorite editor for doing any sort of Node development at this point in time. I tried out using Visual Studio proper last night for some Electron stuff, and I ran into this issue where the Node modules path gets too long, and I've never ever run into that issue using Visual Studio Code for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, I just never run into that. So the other thing we'll have to do here then is cd to source then, and npm install, which will go out and grab our packages and all that stuff. So I guess while this is going, I guess I never really talked about kind of how this would work, the general idea behind it, and I really should probably do that before we get into the code anyways. So my idea is that you would let me see, do I have something that I could use to sketch this out here? So if you're not familiar with Pencil, it's a project that started off as I think like an in-browser thing in Firefox, and then they just eventually came to like a standalone version. But what's nice about Pencil is it has all the like UI mockup tools and stuff like that, so you can kind of play around with that. But anyways, so you're gonna go to Xanatos, and maybe I don't even need this. I don't know why I brought it up, but anyways, you're gonna go to Xanatos, and you'd have to register an account, so there'll be some account maintenance, right? So really what I should do here is probably create like a Trello board of things I need to do with regards to this, right? Just create one called Xanatos. Okay, so we'll just make a to-do list. And okay, so first thing we're gonna need to create some sort of user accounts, right? And maybe we should use MongoDB for that. Maybe we should try to connect into something that isn't so tied in with Node, like SQL Server or something like that, just for the sake of how do these two technologies connect. This is very much a learning project for me, not just trying to make something production quality type thing. So user accounts, so they log in, they select, they will be able to basically add a game that they would want. Well, they'd have get an API key. So there's that. Right? Yeah, so they get their API key. They'll be able to add a game. Okay, and then there'll have to be some sort of maybe like maintenance type thing. One thing I'd like to do is be able to view game in a web page with custom, like the user's custom markup or something like that. So they can actually, kind of like in WordPress, you know, you go and you create a WordPress site, you can mark it up a little bit, or like like MySpace used to be. Actually, itch.io does this, where I think every game can have its own look and feel on its download page. Itch.io. So let me see if I just go and pick something here. So like you can set the coloring here, you can do a lot of the stuff inside of here to make it look and feel around how you want this page to look. So you can see that. Like I said, very MySpace feely, which is funny. But it'd be kind of cool to be able to go on to a particular web page, see the high scores and that. View, it's really view game scores in web page with custom markup. Okay. Add score to the API, and this is really kind of like just an overall API task. It would be record score, probably something like that. Something with like get high score, get high scores. So, you know, ordered or whatever. And really high scores could be, I could also add not just what's the high score for this game, but if you've got user account type thing, it could be rankings too. So maybe like you could enable rankings, and the difficulty with that is, I suppose, the person on the other end would have to have a very particular user account system. Plus, it wouldn't be very difficult. See, with an API thing, I'm not sure how you would secure and make sure that someone just doesn't nefariously use the API. Because if you're holding it on the client side, you can, say, hey, set the high score for this other person. Unless there's some secret for that person that you would need to know, like an ID that person has that isn't visible or isn't retrievable by any other person. So there's some trickiness for that. That might be like another iteration of this as I would work through that. But so we get high score, get high score. I mean, this is pretty much what we would need to have minimally, I think. So we'll just start with that. So anyways, they go there, they register, they get their API key, they can go ahead and record scores, push those up, get back the list of high scores. Very simple, just put and pull. And then, view the view high scores for game and web page with custom markup. Yeah, so then you could go to that particular game's high score page, and there would be a default, here's the high scores or whatever, and they could add some custom markup to it. So that's all that I want to accomplish with this. I won't get to all of it today, which is why when I started this, you can see the title was 0, high score service 0. So it will be a series of these probably to get this done, because I'm going to be tinkering with some different things. So all right, so we've got our baseline application here. I'm just going to go ahead and run it within Visual Studio, and then I'll launch localhost here. You've seen me do this if you've watched the Air software development that I did. Air software. That's just kind of a play on words, but anyways. But this is not foreign to me on how to do this stuff. So like I said in that one, if you go out to my blog, mylifeforthecode.com, and you take a look, I have a series of these kind of building a website post. Just 4 of them. I never really got beyond that, with building a website with Node and a bunch of other stuff. And so this is pretty much documents for me how to get started with just the basics every time, which is a nice thing to have at your disposal. So I think I've gone through everything in this first one just within what I've shown you now. I don't really need to cover anything there. What I do need to get set up is, like I said, some user account like stuff. So, but to do that, I need some place to actually store the user accounts, which means I probably need a database set up. Which, yeah, so I've got MongoDB in this. I have never really done a deployment of MongoDB, and it might work for this application. You know what, let's just roll with it, because, yeah, why not? Otherwise, you're going to see me sitting here and doing a bunch of research on how to go and figure out how to use a different database with it. So, all right, so on this machine, I think I've already got MongoDB set up. Yep, so I do have MongoDB already installed on this machine, so I'm not going to walk you through that process. You can see in your C drive then, when you launch it, there should be a data folder, DB, and you get some of this stuff in here. I have a thing called Quota that I was working on for a while that I was using this for. Mongoose, though, is an ORM type tool for MongoDB, which is really nice to have because you can build up models and all that kind of stuff, and it's all good. Though the thing that I probably should have to decide here is, do I want to just use plain old JavaScript, or do I want to try to bring in TypeScript or ECMAScript into this? I haven't played with those, and if I do play with them in this particular application, I'm probably going to bore you because I'd have to set up all the tools and stuff like that. So I'll skip that too. But anyways, so we need to actually get that installed. Before I do that, I'm just going to commit this stuff. Just so I have everything cleanly set up. I should probably add to my git ignore, which is out a level, so we'll just skip that for now. This VS Code folder, otherwise I'm sure I've just committed that, maybe? Yeah, I probably did. Oh well, it'll be set up for whoever wants to use it then. That's not really a big deal. Okay. So we're in here. We need to do npm install mongoose, and I think that depends on MongoDB, and I'm not sure that that's been installed yet. Oh, MongoDB core, so it does resolve it for me, so I don't need to install that separately, at least not at this point. We'll figure that out later. All right, so already installed it, we got that. Now we need to connect it up to MongoDB. So we'll go into our app.js here. Throw this up here, Mongoose. And then somewhere along the line, we have to connect up to MongoDB, which we'll just throw past all this other app stuff. Okay, and later on, you'd want to obviously have this kind of stuff pulled out into maybe like an environmental variable or something. But for our local development, for building this out when we're not getting it production ready, this is just fine. All right, let's just make sure we get that message down here when we run this, because it should say should connect to MongoDB. Okay, could not connect because I probably don't have MongoDB running anymore. So we will go ahead and mongo.exe. Oh, yeah, there we go. So that should be running. We've got this here. And we don't want it to be steaming. We want it to be our application, which is Xanatos, right? All right, we will restart that, and hopefully it all connects up. Boom, connected to MongoDB. All right, cool. So we now have a connection to Mongo. Now we need to add some models into things. We don't necessarily need to yet because we are planning on doing our user account setup first, which will have part of that in there. So let's go ahead and go to part 3 of my series here. Let's see here. Passport is the thing that I think if you go Passport.js is kind of like, I think, one of the de facto authentication frameworks for Node. I did a little searching around. There's a couple others, but they have an absolute ton of strategies set up for Passport. One thing that I noticed is missing is there is no login. So you can go to you can do like Facebook, Twitter, but there's nothing for Windows Live. So I don't know if that's just a purposeful omission or what, because you can log in, I think, even GitHub. I mean, there's so many different setups here that you can follow. You can do Steam. I mean, it's nuts how much stuff they've got here. Oh, I guess you can do Azure Storage, SSO. But you can't do just Microsoft Live login for some reason. Microsoft's Windows Live login, which is what I use for pretty much all of my stuff. So, but otherwise, it is a pretty much like a great way to do it here. So to do this, then we're going to need a few pieces. Not from that one. Okay, we'll just open up a new command prompt here. So we need npm install passport. And we need passport local, which means we'll be handling it. It won't be through, so this is one of their strategies, right? You could be like Passport Facebook, Passport GitHub, Passport blah, blah, blah. This is Passport local, which means we're going to be storing the user codes in our database instead of relying on some outside source for identity. Okay, then we're going to install Passport local Mongoose, which connects those two up, so that's all good and dandy. And the last thing we're going to need here, because when you log in, you're going to need some sort of a session, right? So we'll be authenticating those kinds of things. So install Passport local. We don't want to do that. We want to install Express session. So that will give us the ability to log in and carry our session and all that stuff. So boom, done. Cool. Anyways, that was a creepy look, I'm sure. So we got all that set up. All those things are installed. Now we need to go ahead and create a model for our stuff. So let me see here, I think it's Control Plus, just to make sure you guys can see this. Guys or gals, whoever you are. Here. I'm gonna go ahead and create a models folder in here. And we need to create a user model. So I'm gonna, within models, create a new file called user.js. And I've got some basic code out there for this already. So, and this is all straight out of my tutorial here, building a website with a bunch of Node and a bunch of other stuff, part 3. So Mongoose is this, and Passport local Mongoose. It's just you can see it's kind of like a plugin type thing here that will basically, on this user schema, add everything that Passport local Mongoose needs. And then, yeah, so we'll probably look at this user structure a little bit more later. Now, the whole API key thing we might want to add on here later or right away. I don't know if you want to tie an API key to a particular game or to a particular user. Normally, an application would probably be requesting an API key, and so your game would kind of represent the application here. Yeah, so I'll tie the API key in with the game. So that particular game will need every game will need a unique API key to call this into this. I think there might even be a Passport authentication method for API key. I'm just doing a little side check here. Yeah. Local API key. Authenticate an API key in your Node.js, which is used to build REST APIs. By plugging into Passport, local API authentication can easily intrusive integration. So I can have two different probably strategies here in the future, and I could use Passport for both of them. I should be able to. So, so to start, I could have my the traditional Mongoose Passport local strategy for logging in user accounts and doing that kind of a deal. Then I might have this separate API strategy for just authenticating the only authenticating the API requests. So this is good and a good idea to keep that in mind. So I might have to play with that a little later. But anyways, we're on this kind of configuring Passport local Mongoose. So this creates a user object in the database. We then just need to kind of do some connecting of the Passport local strategy or whatever to the actual Mongoose, which is just done in app.js here. Let's see. So we're going to need some includes here. I'll just throw that up in here. So we need session, Passport, the local strategy from Passport local, and the user model that we just created. Those are everything we'll need. And then over here, let's see. We've got our app setup view engine. We'll just go right here. Authentication setup. I think, yeah, there's a secret word. I guess it's supposed to be just whatever. I just put in Ermagerd for now. Obviously, I think in a deployed instance should be different. I don't really know if I understand fully the point of this here. We'll see. Anyways, so Passport has to kind of like connect up with, or it has to be initialized, and you've got to initialize the session and all that kind of stuff. And then later on, you've got Passport use. So this says you create the local Mongoose Passport strategy, and then it's got ways to pass in user information to serialize it and reserialize it and all that stuff. So all that kind of stuff in there. You can probably read through again this article, and I probably go into a little more depth on how that actually works. Not super high depth, but This should, as far as I know, not cause any problems to run. You should still be able to, go out to localhost 3000 and see our Express app, because we haven't really done anything yet. So the next thing we need to do here, so that's all the wiring I think we need to do to start from a perspective of wiring in Passport and MongoDB to do our user authentication. The last thing we kind of need to do here is set up our sign in, sign out, and sign up pages, or sign up, sign in, and the 3 signs is what I call them. Or you could call them login, log out, and register. I don't know why you would use sign in, sign up, sign out, or log in, log out, register. What's the difference? I don't know. I think it's all just semantical. I don't like when people mix the terms, though. It's kind of, be consistent, right? But anyways, so we will have a sign in, sign out, and sign up page that we will need to do. And I think I'm doing that all within, let's see. Looking at my deal here. Sign. Okay, so I created a sign router. Oops. Or sign route rather within Express. Then I added a sign up, a sign in, and your sign out, which is very simple. So let's just go ahead and do that. So in your routes folder here, you can see there's a users one, which I could probably just reuse this, but, and to be honest, I'm not going to be, we'll be just going sign. And then we need, looking back at this, so we need Express, Passport, our user, and then the router itself that we'll be adding in there. Okay, so on sign up, just dropping in the code here. So when they go to what will be sign/up like this, I don't know why I like this kind of like sign up, sign in, sign out. I instead of doing like sign up /sign up /sign up like that. I don't know. Or it could be, account, coconut, yes. Sign up like that, but I don't know. I've kind of gone with this sign up. So when you get sign up, or you post these are what gets called. So what it's going to do is it's going to, when you go to the sign up page, it'll render back the sign up page out of views over here. So we need to create a new file called signup.jade, which is not actually Jade anymore. It's called Pug, but I don't think that we've caught up to that yet. And then after that, when that's going to have some stuff on it, you're going to post back a username and a password, and that will complete your sign up, right? Don't really feel like I need an email or anything like that yet. Maybe I should have one, because how else would you deal with like forgot my password type stuff, I don't know if I really, this is really just going to be a simple thing over here. I don't know. We'll come back to that. You can actually, within And I might do this before I would deploy everything, but you can change what kind of username you use to be like an email or something instead, versus username. There's some other configurations you can do with regards to how passwords are checked and stored, and yeah, anyways. So if the request is authenticated and you're trying to post to it already, so you're trying to sign up when you're already logged in, essentially it just redirects back to the home page. Otherwise, there's on the user object that we created in here, and we plugged in Passport Mongoose 2. There is a register method that gets added onto that, and you just pass it some information. So you pass it the username, whatever other information you need to add to the user. Like if we wanted to add an email, you require the password, and then you give it the callback, which tells you, okay, did it succeed? And here what I'm doing is if it did not succeed, then it will render back that sign up page. Otherwise, it redirects you back to the home page. So after authenticating, so this actually does your actual login step, sign up type or sign in type step, to make sure that after you sign up, you are now just like, you don't have to re-log in or whatever. So that's that. Next, then we would have a sign in page, right? Or a sign in step. So this is get sign in, and that will just return our sign in page. Now, I noticed something, copying this stuff out of here. That my sign up page is rendered differently than my sign in page. So I might have had some issues here. Because you see it's register, so I put sign in, sign up into a folder, whereas here I've got an actual sign up page. So what did I actually do with this application? Good thing I put it out there on GitHub, right? So there's my routes, my views. I actually created sign in. So sign in page probably wouldn't have worked according to what I have in this article here. So I might have to fix that at some point in time. We'll just go ahead and change those to be sign in pages. Although to be consistent, I could have it be in a folder, but anyways. Sign in.jade, which again doesn't do anything right now. So we get sign in, it will return the sign in page. We post sign in. If we're already authenticated, we just say, why are you doing that? And we return. Same thing with is authenticated. We go back to the home page. Otherwise, we call this authenticate, which you saw up here. This should succeed because we technically just registered. Now this could obviously succeed or fail. So if there's no user, invalid username, password. Otherwise, we perform our login, and yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how what this step does for the login. Maybe I've got to do that in here too. I don't know. It's It's been a while since I looked at this, why I would do those differently. Oh well, we'll try it out and see if it causes issues or whatever. Okay, and the last thing we need to do is not add any views, but we have our sign out step. Which is, well, not last thing we need to do, but the last route we need to add in here is our sign out step. And literally this is just get sign out. And so that will log us out of the application, right? rec.logout and redirect us back to the home page for login. Or it could redirect us to sign in, whatever we wanted to do. Anyways, so that's all we need to do in here to just get started, as far as I know. Now we need to actually build out those forms to do the sign in, sign out pages. And those I'm not going to spend too much time on. I'm just going to pretty much copy exactly what I've got. Not exactly, but a lot of what I've got out of my tutorial. So let's see, how long have I been going for right now? About 40 some minutes. Okay. Yeah, let's just go ahead and we will get our sign up page, and I'm just going to copy in what I've got in my article here. I'll kind of go through a little bit of that. You don't need this stuff at the bottom. Sign up for actually we'll just do this. Xanatos sign up. Okay, we display the error message if we've got one. Otherwise, this is form action sign up post. Provide a username, a password, and yeah, submit button. And we just give a link to the sign in page. And on our sign in page, it's very, very similar. In fact, it's probably too similar. And maybe these could actually be done on the same page. But we've got sign in, go Xanatos sign in. Post back to it, desired username. It shouldn't be desired, it should just be your username because you're signing in. It's not desired anymore, you've got it. So that was another little overlook when I did it in the in my actual article. It's funny how going through all this, it's like, I discovered so much that I was doing wrong. Yep, button, sign in or sign up. And I don't need this on the bottom here. Okay, and then let's see here. Just on our home page, we just want to add some. So our index page here. Right now, all we got is our title. Oh, excuse me. All we've got is our title in that. I'm just going to pull this out of here, adjust it. So welcome to Xanatos. Now I should just have put this into like a, I should have just put this into like some sort of scaffolded template or whatever. If signed in, you can say, we'll just say that there is, you are signed in or sign out, not or sign out. We'll just say that. Otherwise, if you're not signed in, then give you the option to sign in or sign out. And this stuff is from the application that I was building there, so we'll just get rid of that. And we need to add to a couple things to our app.js to finally just push things in. So the first thing we're going to do is add a little bit of middleware to this, which says just sets a variable on every single page that will tell you whether you're signed in or not. So every request that comes in will come into this thing here, so that's what the star is, and it'll say, okay, response locals signed in, so this sets a variable on the response that says, is this request authenticated? And that's just solely for the purposes of being able to do something in index here where you say, oh, if the person signed in, do this, if not, do this. I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, but it seems to work. So, and the other final thing we need to add into this file is register our signup route. So here we need to get at our sign router, which is in here. We've replaced users for sign, and then we need to use those. So app.use sign for sign router down here. So you can see that whole thing is replacing users, which we replaced in here before. So let's see if how much I failed at doing this. So it's running, line in, welcome to Xanatos. If you're ready to create steamers, yeah, that's not exactly what we want. Steamers was, so when I did this series of posts, you can see in the very first post, I wasn't sure where I was going to take this. So I ended up being like, well, whatever I'm producing, since this is not the first time, but it's pretty much nearly the first time that I've ever heavily tried to just get started with using Express and Node and some of these other things. Whatever I create is going to be just a big steaming pile of crap. And sure enough, so I had this whole idea of making kind of like a blogging platform type deal where you would create blog posts, but you couldn't actually edit the thing itself. And I explained where that came from and how I've done some Windows Store apps where in those Windows Store apps you couldn't actually edit. It's called write freely. In fact, I can probably bring it up if I have it installed. So write freely, this is a Windows Store app I created. Let me just change to the write freely style. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, so how this would work then is the whole idea was to be like an exercise in free writing. So you'd set a timer, say start, and then you would start writing in here, right? But if you hit the backspace, if you try to paste, try to select anything, you can't edit it other than, go back in and say, so you can add to specific things, but for the most part, you can't actually delete what you've written. So the whole point is to get into a flow and start writing just whatever comes to mind without allowing you to actually edit. And so taking that concept and putting it into a browser where you're trying to blog and just say, hey, what is a mind dump without any editing if I don't spend any time doing that kind of stuff? So that was the kind of idea behind steaming. Because it would be a steaming pile of junk. And I even went out and bought steaming.rocks, I think, and probably just posted it back to, yeah, so it's registered, but I haven't actually deployed that yet. So, which I should probably stop buying URLs that I don't use. But anyways, so that's what steaming was. And you can go out there and see how it went. And when you create a post, it was called a steamer. If you already create steamers, and really should just be like sign in and sign out. We'll just get rid of the text after it. Okay. and I really didn't need to do that, but all right. So we've got our sign in, sign up. If I go to sign in, I get a page, sign in, enter username and password. If I go to sign up, and desired username and password. Obviously, if I try to sign in, you know, I don't get anything because I haven't got it to work yet. So what I need to do is provide a username, password, sign up, and something broke. And why would that break? If not Passport, initialize middleware is not in use. Oh, so I probably did something out of order. Which if you go back into your app.js, how you do this has to be it's very, very particular. So like this has to be probably up near the top more. Maybe before I probably have this in the actual article where it has to go, but let's just put it right here. Try that spot. So there's a very particular order this stuff has to be done in to work correctly. Okay, let's go back to that, sign up. Oh, it was already registered. Well, did I actually succeed at signing up? Well, I did. So let's try signing up a different one. Make sure we didn't get the same issue. So sign up. We will go. Okay, so perfect. Signed up. Sign out. Sign in. Username password failed because I mistyped. Boom. So there, we got our username, authentication, login, all that kind of stuff working. No problem whatsoever, which is like, again, one of the best parts about doing blog post tutorial things is it's a documentation of something you've already beat your head against, and really videos too. Like we can sit and watch. I can go back and say, I know I did something like this in one of my YouTube videos. Go back, watch the YouTube video, run it at 2x speed, and just say, oh, that's how I solved that problem, which is kind of cool. Anyways, so we've got that user authentication all figured out. So that was really the first thing we needed to do was create user accounts, right? Created like a Trello board type thing for that. If I can find where I put my Trello board, maybe I closed it. Well, let's just go to, oh, what am I doing? So Trello and okay, user accounts, boom, we've got a setup for that. Oh yeah, I suppose I should add a done, you know, or I could add a doing. Okay, so created our user accounts. Really what next we'd have to do is probably give them the ability to add games, get their API key from that, which is part of really creating a game. Then we need the ability to get and record, and then finally probably the customize the page, which is all part of adding a game, really. So these three things are kind of all part of just setting up that initial game, and this is actually interfacing with the game itself. So two pieces there of the same puzzle, which I might take a break here for a little bit. It's been just now an hour's time frame, so I'm going to I'm going to probably go and go to the bathroom and take a shower and all that kind of stuff. And it's about 9:33 here now, so I might do a part 1 of this later today at some point in time. We'll see. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. If you'd like me to cover something, or if you want to correct something I'm doing wrong, feel free to let me know. I really appreciate those kinds of things. It will keep me honest and make sure I'm not just teaching someone the wrong stuff here if I'm trying to teach, I guess. So thank you for watching. Again, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. It's at Shwany, SHWANY. In fact, I should probably make like a goodbye screen, which has that stuff on there. But this is what we call the Minnesota goodbye, by the way, because I'm from Minnesota and we tend to take a really long time just to say goodbye, even though nobody's watching me right now. I can see down there on my screen, 0 people watching. So I'll be back anyways sometime later. Thank you for watching this first part of it, and yeah, have a good day.